Enigma was originally the name of a crypto device patented in 1919 by the Dutchman Hugo Alexander Koch, who constructed one of the world's first electromechanical machines for encryption and decryption. The Enigma was a portable cipher machine used to encrypt and decrypt secret messages.
Germany's armed forces believed their Enigma encrypted communication system were impenetrable to the Allies. The Enigma was used commercially from the early 1920s and on, and was also adopted by the military and governmental services of a number of nations, most famously by Nazi Germany before and during World War II.
Like other rotor machines, the Enigma machine is a combination of the mechanical and electrical systems. The mechanical mechanism consists of a keyboard, a set of rotating discs called rotors, arranged adjacently along a spindle, and a stepping mechanism to turn one or more of the rotors with each key press. The exact mechanism varies, but the most common form is for the right-hand rotor to step once with every keystroke, and occasionally the motion of the neighboring rotors is triggered.
The mechanical parts act in such a way as to form a varying electrical circuit. The actual encipherment of a letter is performed electrically. When a key is pressed, the circuit is completed. Current flows to the various components and ultimately lights one of many lamps, indicating the output letter. There were also false messages to deceive the enemy efforts, sent by the Germans. However, the most characteristic messages were situation reports sent in the morning, noon, afternoons, evenings, intelligence reports, orders, logistic reports, and others. The unit's most important effort was the warning about German preparation to attack France.
In the winter of 1932, Marian Rejewski, a 27-year-old crypto-analyst working in the Cipher Bureau of the Polish Intelligence Service in Warsaw, Poland, mathematically determined the wiring of the Enigma's first rotor. Since 1933, Poland was able to read thousands of German messages encrypted by the Enigma machine.
In a postscript to the Battle of Midway, Admiral Yamamoto lost his life as a result of a decrypted message. Codebreakers learned that the admiral was scheduled to inspect a naval base. Some U.S. policymakers were fearful to use this info and feared that it would tip off the Japanese that their codes had been broken.
Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor crippled the Pacific Fleet. As American forces fought back, they discovered that the enemy could crack our codes and read battlefield messages almost at will. A new, unbreakable code had to be found. Convinced that Navajo-speaking signalmen would baffle Japan's best code breakers, the Marine Corps turned to the reservation for recruits. In all, nearly 4,000 Navajo left the world of the reservation to join a world at war. Some 400 would serve as code talkers with the U.S. Marines. Subtle tones and complex structures make Navajo all but impossible for outsiders to understand. On the battlefield, it made an unbreakable code. The Marines' warrior language started with the English alphabet. Common Navajo words stood for individual letters, and the code talkers simply spelled out the messages.
We sent it as a code, and then it'll be received on the other end as a regular message. Like if I talk to him from here, and my commanding officer gives me a message, a plain endless message, and I sent it in Navajo code, and Sam will write it down on the other end as plain English as I got it from my commanding officer.
If it's in Navajo, the other guy will say message for Arizona, That means they want a Navajo code talk to receive the message.
To confuse the enemy further, they played word games and used metaphors.
What we call rockets, says you ground boiler. When they hit the ground, it's like the ground is boiling. This is rocks flying all over. Hand grenade, namasi, potato. Tahiti. Tahiti means hummingbird in English. We used to call that fighter plane.
Hummingbirds and iron fish, ground boilers and potatoes. On an island called Iwo Jima, Navajo would be the language of war. February 19th, 1945. The largest assault force the Marine Corps had ever assembled lay poised off Iwo Jima.
As far as I can see, there were ships steaming ahead. And my gosh, I thought, with this many, we can overrun this island in one day and go home.
But one day would turn to more than 30 before the Marines would control this place. A fly speck of rock, just 8 square miles, Iwo Jima held airfields vital to the final approach and invasion of Japan. That made it a rock worth dying for.
And it was raining, it was slick that day, and we were wet and cold.
Code talkers hit the beach with the opening waves of the attack. Getting beyond the beachhead became a nightmare for radio man and rifleman alike.
The communication was flowing around in Navajo. Emergency situations arise like a unit is pinned down. They need heavy fire into the target area so that the unit can get out of there.
Calling in reinforcements and supporting fire, reporting casualties and enemy movements, the signalmen were the lifeline of the attack. Their bulky radios made the Navajo a clear target for snipers. But for their officers, there was an even greater threat: capture and the breaking of the code. For the infantryman on the ground, war can seem senseless. Still, every battle has its cause. Iwo Jima was one of the final stepping stones to Tokyo. With the island's airfields in Allied hands, the war would be all but over. Even while still a battlefield, the landing strip began saving American lives. Now, bombers crippled in raids on Japan had a last-ditch place to land.